In my life, I've had a few challenges. At the age of 16, I was in a horrendous car crash. I lost a lot of blood, but blood donors saved my life. 12 years ago, life threw me another curve. I went into the doctor one day, and he says that I have less than 5 months to live. I am so sick that the doctor said that I probably would die waiting on the waiting list.
There was a point where we lost hope, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel whenever we finally got the call.
It's definitely affected us in a very positive way. I know that before, I would donate blood before, but when I get a chance now, it's definitely something that I'm more excited about.
I had cancer of the liver. I had to have an enormous amount of blood to keep me alive. I was kept alive besides giving constant blood transfusions. I received 2 organs. One of the organs I received was from an older gentleman, one from a young high school man, those within 30 days of each other. I know for a fact that both of those men gave their organs to multiple people. Their organs literally saved multiple lives, not just mine. My family went through an incredible turmoil of knowing that any minute, any day was going to be the end, especially waiting for the second organ that I received.
It's devastating. He's 4. We had no idea that there was anything wrong. And, within 24 hours, he goes from, seemingly a normal 4-year-old boy, and then he's terminally ill because there was no real turning around at that point in time. When it was gone, we either got a transplant or, in the words of his physicians, this isn't going to end all that well.
So it was just, by the grace of God that an organ became available, and he is, in great health now, and those brothers are still together, just sharing life experiences.
We were very fortunate that we had great doctors. We were very fortunate for the UNO system and Life Gift. But we were equally as fortunate for the blood donors because it took roughly 55 or so units of blood products to keep him alive until they could get him well enough to get him into a surgery room.
Really, it happened from me being diagnosed with Hep B to getting the liver, all happened within a month. And you were looking at a guy that was bulletproof and had, I thought I had the world by the tail. Did everything you're supposed to do to maintain good health. And almost overnight that I went into a coma and with acute liver failure and had the transplant within 3 days. Sometimes people that need an organ, they have a tendency to be anemic and they have to have blood before the transplant. And then during the transplant to keep the blood circulating and things that transfusions are necessary. In my case, I received 13 units. The organ saved my life. If that donor family in Houston hadn't elected to be an organ donor, that I wouldn't be here today.
When I was about 14 years old, I just wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. I was skinny and I had to be pulled out of school because I just couldn't do it. And they told me that if I didn't have a transplant, that I probably wouldn't make it another year, 6 months. My mom and I moved down to Houston. I was put on the list for lungs, both of my lungs. With cystic fibrosis, they don't ever do just a single lung transplant. It's always both. And about 4 years, 4.5 years maybe, after my first transplant, I got rejection. They said that unfortunately I was gonna have to go back on the list again. I was gonna have to go through all that again. And I was on the list for 10 months. the second time, which is a really long time to wait. I've heard of people waiting 2-3 years just because the volume of people needing organs isn't the same as the volume of people giving organs.
It saved his life. There is no option to sustain a life if you lose the liver.
Science today can do so many things, but you've got to give blood and you've got to sign up to give your organs.
And I always think of donors as miracles. I mean, we can give them just about any name. Heroes, we can call them heroes, we can call them angels. But to me, because my daughter gave me a lobe of her liver and it regenerated to full capacity as it did hers, I call it my miracle, because at one time I was told I had less than 5 months to live, and then all of a sudden I have a future full of hope.
Organ and blood donation impacts the person receiving it. You know, it can change their life and turn their life around, but it also impacts their loved ones, their family, and their friends around them, because when the child is sick, it's the whole family that's ill and struggling full time because the child is so sick. So it doesn't only impact that person who needs the organ or needs the blood, but it's the family and the friends, because, you know, he had so many friends, even at a young age.
He's alive because someone else's misfortune. And that's something I struggled with for a while, but you just treat it as the gift it is.
God doesn't need those healthy organs. He doesn't need blood. He doesn't need tissues. He doesn't need corneas in heaven. Those are needed right here on earth.
If one person donated all of their vital organs, that's 5 to 6 people that would have a renewed life because of one person.
And we all benefited from, you know, the power of the donations that brought him back to life.
Blood donors and an organ donor saved my life. Will you be the reason someone lives?